Okay, today's daf is Yoma Membeis, Yoma 42. The Gemara has machlokes between Rav and Shmuel on Membeis and Aleph. The Gemara says, Rav and Shmuel, towards the middle of the page, Chad Amar Para Psula Parok Shera, Chad Amar Para Psula Parok Shera. One of the machlokes they have is whether the Para Duma, it's kosher if you shecht it with a zar, meaning someone who's not a Kohen. He does a shchita. So the Gemara says, the Amar Rav Zera shchita is para zara psula. The Amar Rav Elazar kuka sheninu. He says the reason is because of the Elazar in the parsha. So Elazar, see in a second, was part of the para duma. So therefore, he was a Kohen, so it has to be done. Well, the whole thing, most of it has to be done by a Kohen. Azar Yisrael, who shechs the para aduma, it's going to be psula. That's the Gemara over there. The Gemara says, what's the machlokes? The Gemara says, Rav, ma'ishna para, the chsiv alazar kuga, paro nami, chsiv aron kuga. Why does he allow the para on Yom Kippur to be shechted by Azar? Shchita alav avodahi. Shchita is not an avoda. Elchi paranami, shiny para, the kaji bedek abayasi. Olav koldachenu, amar shisha breder avidi, immediately have a maros nagaim, lav avodi, ubaya kuhuna. He says, it's an avoda, we know by avoda, by the Beis HaMikdash, shchita is ksher bizarre. We learned that earlier in the Gemara, in the Mesechus Yoma. He says the same thing over here. Why does Rav say it's puzzle? So he says, because it's kaji bedek abayas. He says the paraduma is not really real kachim, kachim aguf, where the guf is kadosh. Kachim berek habayis, where the money is kadosh. It has an acid of hektish. And the Gemara says it should be a kol shekain if kachim aguf is pasul. So kachim berek habayis should also be pasul. And the Gemara says no, maras nagoyim is a raya not like that. So machlokes in the Gemara we had on Yud Tet, Aleph. The Gemara says machlokes whether the Kohanim are considered to be shluchei didan or shluchei derachmana. Are they the shluchim of Hakadosh Baruch Hu, or are they shluchim of us, of the Israelim who bring when they bring our Kohanim, our karbanos for us? The Gemara seems to assume, who the Rebbe Yeshua says on Yud Tet Aleph that shluchei derachmana ninu, and the Gemara Nadarim has a shaila whether shluchei derachmana ninu or shluchei didan. The Gemara there doesn't answer it. It also says, why don't you bring from our Gemara in Yoma, where the Gemara has a clear Meim Rav and Amora, Puna B'Eider of Yeshua, the Shluchei Derachmaninu. They're not Shluchei Didan. So, in order to answer this question, there's answers. Tosos brings some answers over there on Yud Tet. In order to answer this question, let's say that really that Kohanim serve two functions. We know that they do avoda in the Beis HaMikdash. One of their functions, their purposes, is do the avoda in the Beis HaMikdash. Yisrael can't do the avoda; they do it before them. And the shaila is whether they're actually considered the messengers of Klal Yisrael when they do the avoda. That's the avoda. And then there's other halachos like checking a bechor or checking the goyim or other mitzvos the Kohen have. Riba b'hen mitzvos. They can't marry grusha and so on and so on. They can't be metamel l'mesim. There's extra Kohanim that Torah Riba and mitzvos, and Riba and mitzvos means that the Torah expected more of them, that they should have more decision-making capabilities and more responsibility to make the proper decisions. They're on a higher level in terms of that. So that's what it means, Shluchei Derachmana. When it comes to the avodah in the Beis HaMikdash, that's a shaila in the Darim. When they're bringing your karbanos, are they also Shluchei Didan, whether they actually are messengers or they're just acting of their own accord. But they are definitely a shluchei rachmana where they have extra mitzvos. I believe that's one of those answers on Yud Tet, that really both of them are true. Now, that seems to be, that can explain the Shak of Tari over here. The Gemara says, Duma Demaras Nagoyim. Rav is answering that a para duma is not considered as kachi bedek abayis. It's not considered an avoda. Avoda is only a kachi agum and bringing karbanos. It's not a carbon. It's not outside the premises of the Beis HaMikdash. And you burn it. The main part is sprinkling the water from the ashes that you get from burning it in the fire. That's the main part, burning in the fire and mixing the water with the ashes and sprinkling it. And shchita is really just a hechsher. It's part of the riboy mitzvahs by the Kohanim, and that's what really Rav is saying. The Gemara on Mem Beis and Beis, the Gemara goes back, has a little discussion, machlokas between Rav and Shmuel, what's their machlokas, and then the Gemara goes back on the top of Mem Beis and Beis. The Gemara says, Itmar shchita para bizar Rabbi Ami Amar Kshera Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha Amar Psula Ula Amar Kshera Amar Psula. Again, the Amoraim get this machlokas shchita by para duma with the zar is a Kshera or Psula. Now it's interesting, why is the Gemara not bring these opinions before, and why is the Gemara, and in the next line of the Gemara, the Gemara brings a proof for mentioned before. We had other Amoraim mentioned before. Why is the Gemara bringing a proof for Rav over here? I want to answer. There's a different lashon between the machlokas Rav and Shmuel. Rav and Shmuel is the machlokas para duma, kshera or psula. They didn't say the word zar. Here by these Amoraim it says shchita para bizar. It could be the machlokas says that really Rav and Shmuel, Rav considered, like with the Gemara said before, as Duma Demaris Nagai, and the Shechita of Paraduma is not an Avoda. These Amoraim consider to be an Avoda, and therefore they add the word Shechita Bizar. That's normally a phrase used by Avoda. We know Shechita Bizar is Kshera by Avoda, and some Amoraim here feel that it's an Avoda, and there's an extra level of Paraduma. The Shechita Bizar would be Psula. And that's why the Gemara said, the Gemara brings a proof for Rav from a Brisa. Ein li ela hazas b'mesh ein ksherim b'isha k'b'ish. The Gemara says that certain things are kosher, paraduma, they're only kosher by ish and not by isha. And the Gemara brings a proof. The fact that they're kosher by ish and not by isha show that a zar is going to be possible also. Now it's interesting, and the Gemara really asks this question after the proof. If you really want to say the kosher is psul bizar, say one better than Isha. Isha is a short zar. She's not even a Kohen. She's b'nei Aaron benos Aaron. Say if zar is psula. And the Gemara has to come up with an answer really, just because it says the same reason Isha is psula, because it says Elazar, so too a zar is psula. I want to suggest over here that that the lashon of the ein ksherin b'isha k'b'ish sounds like it's not as kosher by an isha k'b'ish. Sounds like b'diavad it could be kosher by an isha, because according to Rav, he would learn that it's not in the realm of kodshim. It's chulin, and by shchitas chulin, so we know in isha b'diavad it's machlokas and tosos and chulin and dav beis. So whether it's shared, and we established in earlier shiurim in Yoma. Try to remember these shiurim. I'm going to test you on them. That b'diavad you are kosher, for a woman is kosher, but chara that's really only talking about echad omed al gaba, just like a katan who's shechs, you need someone who's there supervising. So between isha needs someone who's supervising. So therefore b'diavad by isha is shera. It's psula if there's no one watching her, and that's what the Gemara is saying over here, and that's why Rav said over there shchita psula, and doesn't say bizarre. It's not a voda. It's talking about where the Kohen has to be under the auspices of the Kohen. It has to be done under the direction of Elazar. Elazar has to be there, or a Kohen has to be there to watch, to make sure. It doesn't have to be that he has to actually do the shechita. But if no one's watching, then the Kohen would have to do the shechita. So b'diavad would be kosher with the zar, shechita's para aduma b'diavad, if so it was echad omed al gabav, like over here. And that's why the Gemara says, we learn from over here, that's why the Gemara brought Isha to teach you that it's kosher even with the Yevet. And the Gemara says the reason it's possible is because it says Elazar ksivba, just like Elazar and not Isha, so too Elazar not Zard, because it's teaching you that Elazar has to be under the auspices of the Elazar. What's Elazar referring to? The Gemara Mem Beis and Aleph, Ra'av brings the passage of Shachar Osel Afanav, Sheizar Shochet. Elazar roa. That's what Shmuel says. Rav shli yasiach daitumenu. Where is Elazar in this pasuk? Is he the shechting, or is it done in front of him? So Rashi interprets the shachar tzal that Elazar is shechting and he's shli yasiach daitum. But it sounds like two people. So really, you could say according to Rav shli yasiach daitumenu, that Elazar was just watching. He was making sure that nothing bad happened. He was watching someone else could shech, even a zar could shech, and it would be kosher b'diavad as long as Elazar is under there. It's under his premises, and that's why the Gemara says we learn from Isha to Zar, because an Isha could actually be kosher b'diavad, and so too a Zar could also be kosher b'diavad as long as it's done under the auspices of a Kohen.